finding quality silver assets is very, very difficult. So I mean, we've got 5 good companies up here on the stage presenting. But let me start talking to you about Summa Silver now. Before I get into it, there's 3 things that I just want to tell you about our company. One, we've got 2 high-grade American silver assets that are in these historic Wild West districts that really helped shape that part of the southwestern United States, but hadn't seen much or any modern exploration until we started working there 4 years ago now. 2, there's a really good comp right beside us, and that is the gentleman that just presented before in Blackrock Silver. And Andrew's done a great job, and team have done a great job of building 100 million ounces there. We share a property boundary, and the systems cross over, and the mineralization crosses over, which is great. And then number 3, and saving the best for last, we have 2 brand new mineral resource estimates just released yesterday, or excuse me, 2 days ago, that I'm going to get into telling you about here now. Okay, so here we are looking at our resource estimates on the left. 2 projects, starting at the bottom is from the Hughes project in Nevada. A little over 35 million ounces in the inferred category, mostly at 418 grams per ton silver equivalent. An additional 10 million ounces in the indicated category for that project, but also moving over to New Mexico, 32 million ounces of silver equivalent material at 367 grams per ton silver equivalent on that project as well. When I talk about silver equivalent, for us, it's just gold and silver, just silver and gold. I'm not talking about lead or zinc or anything like that. The other thing that's important to note, after we put out these resource estimates, we're drilling on the Hughes project in Nevada now, stepping out around where we know there's good mineralization and building those ounces systematically. Okay, those are the numbers again on the left, but just concentrating on the map on the right, the project that we call Hughes, the eastern half of the Tonopah Mining District and its extension. Of course, Andrew is working on the western half and its extension. And then also down in New Mexico called the Magallon District. We think that this is the most northerly of the great Mexican districts that the Spanish and probably indigenous people before that have been mining going back 500 years. Cap structure for our company, 120 million shares outstanding, gives us a market cap of about 36 million at a share price of 30 cents. We're doing great, we're doing good in terms of working capital, somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million, and are deploying those funds very systematically now, stepping out around where we know there's mineralization on the Hughes property in Nevada, and continuing to build those ounces. Shareholder registry, some really great shareholders on a list. Eric Sprott owns 17%. And then the last thing I'd just like to talk about on this slide is research coverage. Stuart McDougall at Research Capital has a buy price on us of $1.30. Okay, so to switch gears and talk about the projects, the first one I'm going to talk about is the Hughes project in Nevada, central Nevada, halfway between Reno and Las Vegas on the highway. The numbers there on the left, again, with the resource, but bigger picture, just to step back a little bit. Over a trend of 6.2 kilometers, we've intersected multiple zones, grading over 1,000 grams per ton silver equivalent, and continue to be in the process of wrapping our arms around not only what's remaining in the district, like Andrew is doing, but what could be left here? Big picture question, what's left here district-wide? The map on the right, this is the Walker Lane trend. This is the land of the Comstock in Nevada. Nevada is known as the Silver State. When you drive into Nevada, it still says, "Welcome to the Silver State." Really because of 2 places. The first was the Comstock lode, closer to Reno, and the second was the Tonopah Mining District, where we're working now. Okay, zooming in and looking at our zones and our targets, some drill results on the left. You get numbers like 2.8 grams per ton silver equivalent over 3,900 grams per ton silver equivalent over 2.8 meters, 536 grams per ton silver equivalent over 18.5 meters. But really what I like to concentrate on this slide is the map on the right. Looking at that, the 2 targets that are on the left called Murray and Belmont, those are in the historic part of the mining district where really extensive geological modeling led to some really good targets and allowed us to really fast track to hitting good numbers right away. That's great. That's really only half of the story. Every hole we drill there incrementally adds ounces. But zoom out and look to the right, And those are exploration flavored targets where we're looking for extensions of the entire district. And I think especially at Ruby, there's a really good chance we're onto it. Okay, so switching to underground side view, long section view, what happened here was on the left side of the screen, we have most of our work. That's the historic part of the district. The veins run left to right. They ran into a fault zone called the Halifax Fault Zone, and the old-time miners more or less lost those veins on the far side of that fault. We've stepped out past that. We've drilled 6 holes looking for the extension of the district in that direction. All 6 of them have hit mineralization. Highlight being 1450 grams per ton silver equivalent over 3 meters. So big picture, why does that matter? Well, if to the left of that fault zone produced historically 175 million ounces of silver and almost 2 million ounces of gold, there's really no reason to think why it stopped there. It's just offset. So the big question for us is, where is the extension of that district? East of it, because we have an additional 4.2 kilometers to explore, and so far have been very successful. And that's where we're drilling now. Finally, talking about Hughes, how does a place like Tonopah compare to some of the famous Mexican districts that the Spanish mined going back 500 years, like I was saying earlier? Well, Tonopah produced over a mined strike length of 4 kilometers and 175 million ounces of silver. Compare that to the Guanajuatos, the Sandy Masses, the Pachucas of the world. Much more strike length, many more ounces. That just makes sense intuitively. So on the bottom half of this slide, I'm just taking the length of that white bar is the mined length of each of these districts. So if you take Tonopah, add 1.5 kilometers onto it where we're hitting at Ruby, add an additional 2.7 kilometers onto that where we've got 1 hole into Emerald that got some good mineralization. And this district fits in quite nicely with how big they can get when they get to be truly world-class. Okay, so that's the Hughes project. We've also spent quite a bit of time working on a second district, very similar flavored. Not much work has been done there historically, but this one's called the Maguillon project, and it's located in southwestern New Mexico. Here we're looking at an inferred mineral resource of 32 million ounces at a grade of 367 grams per ton silver equivalent, outlined on the map by that yellow shape on top of the red lines, which are veins. But what we're looking at there is that the resource estimate incompletely covers 2.4 kilometers of the 77 total kilometers of vein and structure present on the property. And almost none of it has seen much or any modern exploration at all. So zooming in just to look at some of our drill results, because I think these are important, they're very wide. We get numbers like 448 grams per ton silver equivalent over 31 meters, 445 grams per ton silver equivalent over 16.6 meters. And the first time I was down here, the first hole we drilled, I'm drilling through this main vein called the Queen Vein, it was 50 meters wide. You just don't see that very often. It's just a very, very strong system. So a lot of work to do here, a lot of follow-up to do, but the ounces are there. And zooming back out and looking at the property, like I was saying, this is the property, but this shows really the big picture potential here, where when we first got this project, we didn't even have any surface data, no samples, anything like that. We flew a LiDAR survey and came up with maybe 300, maybe 400 individual old prospect pits that date back as far as the 1880s. Went and sampled all of them and got some really interesting results. You know, anywhere from hundreds of grams per ton is very common, but the highest grade stuff gets to be 4,000, 7,000, 8,000 grams per ton silver equivalent. And I think that really for us demonstrates the huge opportunity at this project going forward. Okay, so trading comparables. Basically, why should investors care about Summa Silver? Why does this matter? Well, if you take what we trade at today and relate that back to market cap per ounces in the ground, market cap per attributable ounce, we get about 46 cents a share, and our resources are very fresh. If you compare that to a group of our peers, you know, anywhere from 87 cents to $1.74 is common. So for me, you know, looking at something like that, I just see, okay, you know, that really is the main part of the opportunity here around Summa Silver. We really are undervalued relative to our peers, especially, you know, given that, you know, are we on the verge of a good silver market? You know, I think we're going to benefit from that greatly. But not only that, we're drilling right now at our project, stepping out and drilling what look to be good holes right away. So it's still an early story. There's still a lot to come. And please consider owning Summa Silver if you don't already. Thanks very much for your time.